Hi everyone, Kaiser Soze, Maximum Carnage, and later today I'm going to put a war recap up for the previous war that we just got crushed, even though we had an advantage. I'm going to post some replays from the war and just kind of go over things. But for now, I wanted to get a statistical analysis of what's been happening here kind of posted, and I'm just going to throw out that information for whatever it's worth and draw a few conclusions from it myself. And hopefully people can use that to look at what it is that they're doing and potentially alter it or change it over a period of time. So if we go into the war log and we go all the way back to 48 days ago. So right at the bottom of the screen here, the Chinese clan that's right on the bottom, followed by Bloodline, Warrior's Den, moving all the way up. So over that period of time, that's 21 wars, and I've got the stats that I've just kind of recorded from the types of attacks that people are using and what the results are, what happens with cleanup attacks, and a few other things over this period of time. There's a few as well that I've got the war weights from each team to see whether or not it's on par, if it's good, if it's bad, whatever. So there's no question that the December update that was rolled out by Supercell, bringing in the Town Hall 11s, they also changed the way war matchmaking works, and they also changed certain things about war weights, and that's had a nasty impact on us, certainly in terms of just overall matchups. We've had realistically a pretty constant string of difficult war matchups, and a few that end up being in our favor. Very rarely are they exaggerated kind of in our favor. More often than not, we end up with a tight one, or something realistically that we're behind the eight ball. All right, so anyway, having said that, of the 21 wars, I've got statistics on 18. There's a few with maintenance updates that have happened that all the replays and all the ability to go into the details of those wars have been removed, so I haven't been able to get the stats in time for every single war. But 18 of 21 I think is pretty good. So basically, I'm going to just kind of review a few of those stats. Let me just put on a replay. Let's view the map. More events. All right. So in the last 18 wars, we have recorded a total of 547 attacks. Of the 547 attacks, 390 of those have been go wipe. Now, in that go wipe, I also include, if people want to put in a couple of witches, putting in a couple of witches without purpose or without reason into a go wipe attack is a bad thing to do, because witches cost wizards, and in go wipe, wizards are a real driving force in what creates the damage, and damage per second that helps it get through. So witches with a reason put in a specific place to help keep those wizards alive makes a lot of sense. But if you're just dumping in witches and you don't really have a plan, you just like witches and you're putting it in, it's not really beneficial. But I've just counted those still as go wipe. So of those 390 total go wipe attacks, that means that 71% of all of the attacks that are being tried are go wipe. Now, we've got other attacks that aren't included in there, like hogs and runs, but we also have other ones as well, like the lower levels here. Stosh and Miss P, they use drags. Anthony's account was using giants, so those are alternate attacks, certainly not counted as go wipe. I just want to clarify, though, that it doesn't have to be go wipe versus go hog. It's a go wipe versus all other attacks. 71% of all of the attacks that we do are go wipe. Now, of those 390 attacks, 120 of them resulted in no new stars. So it was either a failed attack or something that just didn't generate anything new whatsoever. Of the go wipe, there was of cleanup attacks. So I don't count loot runs from lower levels just going up an attack. But if somebody's supposed to do a cleanup because somebody else previously hadn't 3-starred, we've used go wipe 138 times to try to get more stars. And of those 138, as far as getting, cleaning it with go wipe and getting a 3-star, 29 times it's happened. 109 times it has happened that Go Wipe has been used and failed to clean the base. So that means, in terms of cleanup attacks, Go Wipe fails 78.99% of the time. So if we're going to try 5 cleanup attacks with Go Wipe, 4 of those attacks have failed over the course of the previous 21 war stretch. Naturally, I only have stats on 18 of them, but these statistics actually started showing up within the first 4 wars, and they've really been consistent all the way through. It's a fluctuation maybe of a percent, but as time has gone on, it's done nothing to indicate that there's any problem at all with the statistics. They've realistically held true. So now we take a look. I haven't included drag attacks and giant attacks and that type of stuff, but specifically hog attacks or loon attacks. So in that same period of time, we've tried a total of 68 of those. And of those 68 that have been tried, 16 of them result in no new stars. So that means if we're using hogs or loons, which only happens 12% of the time, they fail at a rate of 23%. So 78% of cleanup attacks with Go Wipe are resulting in no new stars. But when the hogs and loons are tried, they're still failing, but they're failing at a much lower rate. They're pretty much successful in generating new stars 75% of the time. And the hogs and the loon attacks that I'm making reference to include people like Alps, who used to be in our clan, isn't here any longer, but he didn't have a single 3-star attack over the entire time. So his fails are included in those statistics. But it just goes to show that those particular styles of attacks may end up being more successful overall than what people may believe. So moving on now to some specific examples. I've got, I went through and I took the statistics from Ronin, from Anti, from Spidey, and from Run, and I just want to be able to contrast them in terms of just overall in general. So Ronin, on that account, I generally do the attacks for Ronin, although naturally he's done some of those attacks over a period of time. I don't make a distinction on the chart, but some of those attacks are Go Wipe, and some of them are Go Hog. He doesn't use loons because he doesn't have them open, they're not unlocked. So Ronin, of the 18 wars that I have tracked, he has been in 13 of them. Of those 13 wars, he has done every single attack, so there's been 26 attacks. So in the 13 wars, he's got 6 stars in the same war, so both attacks for 3 stars 5 times. So 5 out of the 13 wars that he's been in, which is more than a third, he has got 3 stars on his first attack and 3 stars on the second attack. And the first attack for Ronin is different than, say, what happens with Jim and Sam. I didn't want to, put Sam's account because it's a little bit lower in there. Ronin, over this period of time, his Town Hall 9 account isn't in a position that he's likely to be able to get a Town Hall 8. I could have, Captain comes in at Town Hall 10. Most of the time he's facing Town Hall 9s and just basically bullying them with troops. So he's got a high star count, which is really good for the clan, and it helps us take care of things to allow everyone to drop down. But it's not a real indicator of what a person's statistics should be. So with Ronin, though, he's high enough in the Town Hall 9s that his first attack is almost always on another Town Hall 9, and then his second attack is on either his equal or higher than his equal. And it's really telling here in terms of doing well, 6 stars in 5 out of 13 wars. So that's a total. And then he's got, naturally, outside of those wars, he's got other 3-star attacks as well. Let me just put on another replay here in the background. So he's got, in the 26 attacks that he has done in that 18 war stretch, 13 participations naturally, he's got 15. So 15 3-star attacks in 26 tries. So that's his rate. I haven't figured out what that percentage is, but it's more than half. 13 would be half. more than half of his attacks end up being 3 stars, and in more than 1/3 of the wars that he's participated in, he's had 6 stars in that war. So now we've got Anti. Anti has participated in 15 of the 18 wars that I've recorded, and there are 0 6-star wars in the 15 that she's tried. Now, of the 15, there has been a total of 4 3-star attacks, and she has gotten in her attacks in every single war, so there's been 30 attempts. So Anti has 4 3-star attacks in 30 tries. Ronan has 15 3-star attacks in 26 tries. Moving on to Spidey. Spidey has 0 6-star wars, and over that period of time, Spidey has participated in, I think, 10 wars, but of those 10, there's been 3 attacks. So it could have been a total of 20 attacks, but there's been 3 attacks that, the second attack wasn't made over a period of time. So there's been 3 3-star attacks in 17 tries for Spidey's account. 0 6-star wars, 3 3-star attacks in 17 tries. And generally speaking, Spidey's account attacks lower than the equal on both attacks. So moving on to Run. So we've got Run has been in 13 wars, so it could be the same as Ronan, 13 wars, has a total of 26 potential tries. However, in that 26 potential tries, because of the 13 wars, Run has not done 6 attacks. So there was, I think, 2 separate wars that only 1 attack was done, and then there was 2 other wars that neither attack was done. So I'll just pause here for 1 second and say that it's really damaging when both attacks aren't done. It's damaging because it forces somebody else to be able to do a first attack on that base. You're not showing any traps. You're not showing, helping scout with giant bombs. So even if it's a failed attack, there's some good that can come from it. And then on top of that, hopefully you can learn every time that you attack. You want to attack a base with a specific plan. And if you're not learning and you're not trying something new, it hurts you become a better attacker. But certainly it hurts everybody else every time that attacks aren't done in war. So that it's certainly exceptionally damaging anytime that happens. And almost all clans post rules. Naturally, if you're in war, you have to do both attacks. So we can't underestimate the significance of missing those attacks. But so there's been 0 6-star wars in the 13 wars that Run has been in. And of the 20 attacks that Run has done, there's been 1 3-star attack. So 1 3-star attack in 20 tries for Run, 15 3-star attacks in 26 tries for Ronan, 4 3-star attacks in 30 tries for Anti, and 3 3-star attacks in 17 tries for Spidey. So again, overall, it basically just begs the question in terms of what's the purpose of putting higher level accounts in war if they can't support offensively who they're bringing. Naturally, a higher level account adds to the weight and brings in higher Town Hall 9s. And there's many reasons for why we're getting the matchups that we're getting in terms of the war weights, and Supercell has changed the makeup of how those war weights are constructed in terms of the matchup, and there's certainly some issues with that. But realistically, once again, people have to look at the accounts that they have and look at an opponent that is the same strength as them and say, I need to be able to figure out a way how to 3-star these with some consistency. It doesn't mean 100% of the time. It doesn't mean that every attack that's not a 3-star attack is a total fail. But you have to go out and say, I legitimately have a plan on how it is that I'm planning on getting the 3-star on that base. And if we can't do that, and the person says, well, I can't make a plan, I have no idea, or I can't control that, or whatever it is, the same mistakes are going to happen, time and time again. We just won't have enough people getting stars, and it's going to be damaging. Realistically, you should be able to have a good chance at 3-starring somebody, a base that's your equal strength. And that doesn't mean whatever number you are attacking your equal number. Sometimes the matchups are going to indicate that your equal might be 2 below you, or it might be 2 above you. It's realistically just taking your own base, the number of defenses, saying, here's the defenses. Are my defenses maxed? If they are, you should be able to attack and crush a max defense base. If they're not, looking at an opponent, you just ask yourself, can I 3-star my own base with consistency? In terms of the strength of that base. And the answer should always be yes, if you're at Town Hall 9. Once you move to Town Hall 10, then the answer you should be looking at is, can you get 2 stars consistently on a Town Hall 10? And same thing with a Town Hall 11. And if you can't, it's got to be a different attack strategy or something that you have to be able to bring to the table to make those adjustments. All right. So I'm going to leave it at that. Stats, for the sake of stats, can be pretty boring, but I think those are pretty telling in terms of just generally speaking what's happening with the attacks. Later today I'll have a war recap where I'm going to just go over and show a lot of the attacks that happened in the previous war, and we can maybe go over some of the things that lead me to believe are the specific reasons for some of those fails. And we'll go from there. All right, Kaiser Soze, maximum carnage, more to follow.